The Morgan Report with David Morgan. Discover how to build and protect your wealth at themorganreport.com.
David Morgan of themorganreport.com for the week ending 22 December 2023. Well, this is the next to the last weekly perspective. Next week's will be the last for the year. Just shout out to everybody that is on the free list and watches the blogs and the paid subscribers as well. You know, we're wishing Merry Christmas for all those that have a Christmas, and happy holidays for everybody else. And I do both. And why? Because we're worldwide. There are different religious beliefs out there, and we honor everybody, or at least we try to do so. So there you go. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Take your flavor, take your pick. We wish you a new year filled with love, happiness, and prosperity from all of us at the Morgan Report, the complete team. It's not just yours truly. There are many involved. So I won't read you this whole thing. I just wanted to make you aware of that. And let's get into this week's weekly perspective. And as I've said so many times, you know, if you're not on the free list, you go there, you just put in a name and an email. And if you are not inclined to give us an email, which you can opt out at any time, but if you're not, certainly you can just go to the blog tab right here, pull that down. Almost everything we have is on the blog tab. And obviously, when you hit the blog tab, it brings you to this page, the Morgan Report News, and you can see just about everything I do in the public domain on this page. You also have a quick link to our YouTube channel, our Twitter feed, our LinkedIn presence, and a little bit of Facebook, which we really don't do much on, but it's a quick way to get to Twitter, for example. Just obviously hit that. Brings you right up here. And Twitter is where I do the most posts. Most of those are myself doing them. If you want to see what I write, then it's my feed right here. Put this out sometime early than the AM during my insomnia. I just wrote a few days back, it'd be interesting if Costco started selling silver. Well, actually they have. They're selling the American Liberty, which is commonly known as the American Eagle, U.S. Mint, and they're selling them in lots of 20 coins, 20 per roll. And that's standard kind of in the industry. Almost everybody will sell you a roll. Very few will sell you one at a time, although there's probably dealers that will. But it's very costly to mail one coin for the cost of the coin. So I think that's interesting. What I wrote here was it'd be very interesting if Costco started selling 10 and 100-ounce silver bars, because that's a real market. I mean, not the Eagles aren't, but the Eagles are a subset of the total picture. And as we know from myself and many others, some in particular that have ranted about the U.S. Mint time and time again, I'd say justifiably so. But regardless, the Eagles, again, are just a subset of the total market. If Costco were to open up the whole silver market, which would pretty much be bullion, which would be, of course, the Eagles a bullion coin, but just like I said, 10 and 100-ounce bars, we might see some real demand come into the market. Eagles alone certainly could help, but again, they've curtailed production at times, as we all know. So coming back to the landing page at themorganreport.com, the members login is right here. I think it's fairly obvious, yellow letters, and then you just come in with an email, and then you type in your password if it isn't auto-logged, which I have to type one in because I've changed mine. And then you get to your page, which is, I'm obviously on the mastermind page, and it'll tell you right at the top you are logged in with your name on there. And then if you want to see the current issue, obviously you just click that, and it'll bring it up, and it's going to load the December issue, which I'm not going to make it too big. Well, I made it a little too big. Let me back off slightly. And I just show you a little bit about it here. This is, I write the editorial. Some of the staff writes other parts of the letter. I usually put a byline if they have, talking about what happened with the economy and looking at, what UBS expects 50,000 retail stores to close by 2026, talking about all the retail that closed in 2023. And basically, the economy really is not doing nearly as well as what the propaganda press is telling us. One thing that I really want to point out in here that very few have, and that is the energy situation. And this is what I'll just read to you here. Under the current contracting economy, and the numbers are not working at present, this idea will put some on hold for time. This means that 20% of the electrical grid is supplied by nuclear right now. So 20% of the United States electrical grid is nuclear. It's in jeopardy, and it's going to fade away because without very few exceptions, all these reactors are 50 years old, which means they need to be decommissioned here in the not too distant future. Also, a lot of stuff that's been sent to China is coming back on shore. At the Chinese economy going south, a lot of this stuff will come back into the United States, which means more manufacturing here, which means more power requirements. So as I say here in the report, we must replace 20%, that's the nuclear, because of plants being decommissioned, of our total energy supply, which is baseload power. Nuclear is baseload. It's not going to be brought back by solar and wind. Solar and wind are not baseload power. The energy cliff that we have previously described in these pages is real, at least in our view. I know Doomberg has a different idea. I disagree in a very studied way. Is real, more severe than most anyone in the financial business is discussing. And what I mean by that isn't like I'm leaving the oil argument out of it, just going by 20% power that's nuclear that's going away. So, get all the oil you want. Fracking is the red queen spinning on the treadmill. She's running as fast as she can to stay in place. That's fracking in a nutshell. So you can make up your own darn mind on it, but I'm pretty well versed in that part of the energy equation, take it or leave it. Another thing I put in, this is last month's report, just showing you kind of what you get for your money. Greg Hunter said, man, he never saw the full report. I sent it to him before my last interview with him just a couple of weeks ago. And he said, man, I don't know what you charge, but these people are sure getting their money's worth, which was unsolicited on my part. He just made the comment. This is from Canadian Intelligence. I think the number's wrong here, but I just quoted it. But the Fed put out a $24 trillion bond for countries to buy the debt. No one bought even a penny. This is what they said. I don't know if they know that. China bought oil's future from Iran and paid not in US dollars. What does that tell you about the USA and world affairs? They are finished. Again, that's a quote from Canadian Intelligence, probably a little exaggerated, but you're getting the idea that the de-dollarization is real. It is taking place, and more are jumping on board. And because of that fact, we're going to see more and more stress strains in the financial system, particularly on the reserve currency of the world, that is, of course, the US dollar. And we covered a little bit on palladium. We covered platinum twice during the year. I'm still more bullish on platinum than I am palladium, although palladium has certainly got a big bounce, as I spoke about in the last weekly perspective. If you become a premium member, a paid member, one of the first things you should do is to study, read the How to Use the Morgan Report. And this has been updated, probably need to update it again, but pretty much goes through how to use the report. Talks about what you get for your funds, and talking about the top tier, the mid tier, and speculations, and why we do things differently than a lot of others. I mean, a top tier cash rich unhedged mining company or royalty company is far superior, better investment. It's a blue chip versus, let's say, some ABC exploration company out there in the middle of moose pasture, USA, trying to drill and find gold. And we need them. We need the whole system. We need the juniors all the way up to the top tier, but you don't invest that way. You don't put a lot of money in these juniors, and a lot of people do, and they end up regretting it later. If you think you've done bad buying silver at 30, and then watch it go all the way down to whatever the low was, I guess 12 during the pandemic startup in March of 2020, and then watch it come back to where it is now. Probably it felt pretty bad, but that's nothing like putting a lot into a junior at 20 cents a share and watching it go to zero. So anyway, enough said on that. I will be interviewing David Webb that did the Great Taking. We're scheduled for early next year, I think the second week of January. Our members are sending me questions left and right on what they want me to ask, which of course I'm making a file for, and I will do so. And I think I'll leave it there. It's 10 minutes. I want everyone to have a great time for this holiday/Christmas season. And I'll just point out one or two more things here before I sign out. And the last thing I want to point out is the consultations. I took this down for quite some time, but my energy level's back. I'm pretty much recovered from my injury and got plenty of energy. So I put it back on. You don't have to be a member to do a consultation. In fact, a lot of people just, they don't want to invest in equities. They already have a broker. They're fine with where they're at, whatever, but they want to get out of the banks, or at least mitigate their exposure to banks. They want to find out how to do that efficiently. Who would I recommend for purchases of precious metals or something along those lines? Storage, if they are so inclined, all those type of things. So there's that availability. And this is the landing page for consultations. If you are a member of the Morgan Report, your prices are cut in half. So you get a lot done in a half an hour. So if you're a member, a half hour will cost you $250 for a half hour. And there's some that will never do it and don't need to or want to, and that's just fine. And there's some that like to do consultation like every quarter or once or twice a year. Certainly it's up to you. Day with David, I may take this down, but right now I'm going to leave it up. Again, my energy level's back to normal. If you do this, 10 grand is really cheap compared to some of our competition. And with that, you get 3 years of the mastermind, which is $2,500 a year. So that's $7,500. So really, you're getting to spend a day with me for $2,500, which is, I think, less than lunch with Warren Buffett. But anyway, you would contact our office if you're so inclined. Like I said, this is 2024 will probably be the last year that I offer that, again, if you're so inclined. And if it's one-on-one, but if it's you and your wife or you and your business partner, it can be 2-on-1. I just can't take, 4-on-1 or whatever. So it could be you and your significant other. It could be you and your partner in business or whatever. If it's more than that, I'm usually pretty open-minded. We could talk about it. But anyway, that's it. So again, wishing you a great 2024. I really think that we're going to see some movement in the metals in 2024. I'm not sure it's going to be a barn burner, but I think you'll see a shift. And that's the main thing we're looking for, a shift in trend from paper assets good and metals bad to metals good, paper assets bad. I think we're going to see that probably early on. So I'll sign off. This is David Morgan signing out for the next to the last weekly perspective for 2023.
What if I told you that you could go broke in less than 24 hours? That's how long it took for the Dow Jones Industrial Average to plunge by nearly 22%, losing investors billions overnight. The same happened to the FTX crypto exchange and Terra Luna stablecoin. Both crashed overnight, losing crypto investors billions. You need a strategy that will protect whatever amount of savings you have now. We are going to witness the greatest transfer of wealth that has ever occurred in recorded history, and you must understand the following. You can absolutely go broke in one day. We've been helping subscribers weather this economic mess for years. Now it's time for you to get the same insights. What really happens during a major collapse is that the wealth changes hands. You will actually benefit by looking ahead and knowing exactly how to build and preserve your wealth. Putting just 10% or 20% of your wealth into our approach could make all the difference in your financial security and peace of mind over the next few years. Discover the Morgan Report today. Visit our site at themorganreport.com.